Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about a drama romance film called Good Will Hunting from 1997. Enjoy your viewing. Will is a simple guy who works as a janitor at a college. He meets his friends in a bar and occasionally gets into fights. Professor Lambeau teaches at the same college. He is a mathematician who has won many prestigious awards. Lambeau has written the conditions of Fourier's theorem on the blackboard in the corridor. He wants the students to solve it. Those who do it will be respected and get an article about themselves in a scientific journal. The theorem must be solved by the end of the semester. Will sees the conditions of the theorem and immediately memorizes them. In the evening, he goes to a bar with his friends, but doesn't stay there long. He returns home and tries to solve the theorem. Will is a born genius. He feels math on an intuitive level and is able to solve the most difficult problems. Will has excelled in other fields as well. He reads a lot and has learned a lot. When he got to work, Will wrote the solution to the theorem on the whiteboard in the hallway and then went to hang out with his friends. His best friend Chucky invites him to go to a bar in a few days, where rich students usually gather. Meanwhile, Professor Lambeau finds the solution to the theorem, but none of the students will admit that they solved it. At a baseball game, Will and his friends see an old friend who used to beat him up when they were young. On the way home, they see the guy again. Together with their friends, Will, Chucky, Morgan, and Billy attack them. Because of the fight, the police arrived, and Will accidentally struck a policeman a couple of times. For this, he faces prison, but the trial will be held later. For now, he is released. Professor Lambeau never found a student who had solved the theorem, so he wrote another theorem, which took him and his colleagues more than 2 years to solve. As he was leaving class, he noticed the janitor writing something on the board. It was Will, who had just finished solving the theorem. When he saw the professor, he ran away and told his friends that he had been fired. Chucky promised to hire him as a construction worker. In a bar where rich Harvard students gather, Chucky sees some pretty girls and goes to meet them. Noticing the poor guy from the neighborhood, the friend's classmates decide to teach Chucky a lesson and humiliate him in front of the girls. However, Will stands up for his friend and does not allow the students to insult his friend. He humiliates everyone with his phenomenal knowledge. One of the girls, Skylar, was surprised by Will's behavior. Before she leaves, she gives him her phone number. Professor Lambeau finds the place where Will worked, and he is sent to the supervision officer who is monitoring Will. At this time, Will himself is in court in his own defense. The professor comes to watch the trial. The judge gives the guy a real term, and he can only be released on bail of $50,000. In prison, Lambeau comes to see Will. He makes a deal with the judge and offers the young genius the opportunity to study math. But he will have to visit a psychotherapist. If Will keeps this up until he is 21, he will be released. Will agrees and starts meeting with the professor regularly to solve math problems. They are easy for him, but psychologists are more difficult. No matter who the professor brings Will to, they all refuse him. Will just pisses them off. Then Lambeau takes extreme measures. He meets with his old friend Sean. He teaches at a college. Sean's wife died of cancer, and he is still painfully affected by what happened. However, he agrees to take Will to his place for treatment. During their first meeting, Will manages to throw Sean off balance. He was looking for a sore spot for a long time, and finally found it. The guy tried to make jokes about Sean's wife, but he quickly punished the boy. Despite this, Sean agreed to continue working with him. After the first meeting with the psychologist, Will goes on a date with Skylar. They have fun in a store, later have dinner, and finally kiss. During the second visit, Sean takes Will to the park. Suddenly, he says that he is hurt by Will's antics. He talks about his wife, and makes it clear that despite all his reading, Will is unable to understand Sean. Until Will himself experiences something similar to what Sean has experienced, he cannot understand him. Likewise, Sean cannot understand how Will lived without his parents. Every morning, Chucky continues to pick up Will. They work together, and then go to a bar. But after hearing about Sean's wife, Will started to think about it. He even tried to call Skylar, but he was scared when she picked up the phone and couldn't say a word to her. The next meeting with the psychologist was held in complete silence. Sean wanted Will to be the first to speak. Finally, Will spoke up. He told an anecdote, and after that their contact with Sean improved. Will tells Sean about his girlfriend, and his fears related to her. He is afraid that when they get to know each other better, she will turn out to be another girl who will leave him. He is even more afraid that she will be disappointed in him. Sean makes it clear that if he really likes a girl, then all her shortcomings become pleasant little things that Will later remember with nostalgia. After that, Will goes to the dorm where Skylar lives and asks her out. He wants to go out with her right now, and that's why he helps her with her homework. On the date, Will tells her that he has 12 brothers. He He lies so that Skylar doesn't feel sorry for him. At a meeting with Sean, Will asks how he realized that his future wife was the one, and Sean tells him that he missed a legendary baseball game for her, and he told his friends that he would stay with this girl instead of baseball. Skylar wants to meet Will's friends and brothers. She is very persistent, and Will has to give in. He introduces her to Chucky, Morgan, and Billy. They spend time together. Despite the fact that Skylar comes from a wealthy family, she easily gets along with Will's friends. Professor Lambeau meets with Sean to talk about Will's future. He wants to get him a prestigious position so that Will can do what he loves. However, Sean is against this. He suggests that Will decide his own fate. Lambeau promises Will a great future. He wants to guide him, but Sean believes that such pressure will only make things worse. On the day of the interview, Will goes on a date with Skylar and sends Chucky to the interview instead. After the date, Will and Skylar fight. She has invited him to California with her because she is going to study medicine there. Will believes that this is a serious decision, and Skylar may regret it. He is sure that the girl is with him only for fun, and she will soon marry a rich guy. Skylar tries to reach out to him, but Will just walks away. Relations with Lambeau are also not going well. The professor wants Will to go for an interview, and he starts going. But he will not work in the places where Lambeau sends him. While talking to Sean, Will realizes that he doesn't know what he really wants. He calls Skylar and tells her that he got a prestigious job, but she doesn't care how much money he has. Skylar waited for Will until the last minute, but he didn't show up at the airport when she was leaving for California. After Sean's response, Will stopped coming to his counseling sessions, so Chucky tried to talk to Will. During a smoke break, he says that he would only be happy if Will used his potential to the fullest. Sometimes he dreams that he will pick up Will and he won't be home. Then he will realize that his friend has left to conquer new heights. The conversation with his friend made Will understand a lot. He returned to Sean. At that moment, Sean was arguing with Lambeau. He was telling him that the boy had trust issues, and that's why he stood up for his friends, who were not good enough in Lambeau's opinion. After all, his friends would tear anyone apart for Will. When Lambeau left, Sean told us that he had a similar childhood. His father was an alcoholic. He regularly beat him, just as his stepfather beat Will. Sean made it clear that Will was not to blame, and Will opened up. He let go of his past to go forward without looking back. After much thought, Will goes for an interview at the company where Professor Lambeau wanted him to work. He finally decided to follow the right path. When they met with Sean the next time, the psychologist told him that he was going to leave. He left Will his phone number and promised to contact him if he left a message on the answering machine. Will goes to a bar with his friends. It is his birthday, and the guys have prepared a present for him. They restored his car with their own hands so that Will could drive himself to his new job. After their last fight, Lambeau came to Sean to apologize. Sean told his friend that he was going to travel and possibly write a book, and he would arrive just in time for the next reunion. He had never been to a reunion before, afraid that he would be considered a failure. Now that fear is gone. When Chucky arrived at Will's house again, he was not there. At that moment, Chucky realized that his friend had taken his advice. Will disposed of the boy's gift differently. He left a note for Sean, asking him to apologize to Professor Lambeau, and he went to California to see Skylar. He chose her, just as Sean had once chosen his girlfriend over going to a legendary baseball game. If you have watched the video so far, you should know that I am happy to have viewers like you. Thank you for watching to the end. Subscribe to the channel and follow the news. Klontsak Recapped was with you. See you soon.